Hello and welcome to day 14 of our fall USA road trip. We are in our final destination for this road trip, Chicago, and today are planning to hit the city and explore some of its best sights and attractions. Today started with a wonderful sunrise and then we headed to breakfast in the hotel's Ventu restaurant. We got free breakfast included with our stay and we enjoyed some excellent eggs benedict and an egg and cheese croissant. As we did so, we noticed something rather interesting happening outside. It was only a flurry at present, but the forecast showed quite a bit more snow to come and our plans for the day kind of required weather of a slightly more clement nature, so the arrival of snow meant we had to change our plans somewhat. Today we are going to be using the Go City Chicago Pass. As always, we'll keep a running total, so you can see exactly how much we save using the pass. However, today's plans were largely outdoor based, so we had to alter things quite drastically and instead headed for the museums. As it was snowing, we decided to take a walk through Millennium Park and down the Lakeshore Trail. As we did so, the flurries turned into something a little more serious, but overall, apart from being very cold, we had no real issues and just enjoyed the wintry scenes. By the time we got to the museum campus, the snow had largely stopped, but it was still quite grey and murky, so we headed into our first attraction on the pass, the Shed Aquarium. We love visiting aquariums and the Shed is one of our top aquariums in the States. We have a full list of our favourites that we will link to below, but the Shed comes in at number 3, just behind the Monterey Bay Aquarium and the stunning Georgia Aquarium. The pass got us straight in and included a free 4D movie, so after feeding the stingrays we headed to the Oceanarium to catch a dolphin show, and then into the movie theatre to watch a movie about sharks. This was short but informative and fun. After this we explored the Oceanarium a little more, watching the beluga whales, sea lions, dolphins and penguins for a while. We should mention we have mixed feelings about keeping marine mammals in captivity. There are obvious issues with this, but the Shed has some impressive conservation credentials and no longer participates in collecting whales from the wild. The whales in its care are no longer able to be released into the wild, so really, short of euthanasia, there is no real option but to continue their excellent care in the facility and allow them to help fund the research and conservation that the Shed carries out. But we strongly suggest you do your own research on the topic and come to your own conclusions. Away from the Oceanarium, the Shed is huge. The collection of specimens is seriously impressive. The array of life on display was greater than in any aquarium we have seen. Some of the exhibits were a bit unimaginative, but the animals on display covered the whole spectrum of aquatic life, from sharks to mollusks, octopi to giant snapping turtles, even caiman, lobsters, lampreys, piranha, sturgeon and moray eels. Unfortunately, the Caribbean Reef exhibit was shut as it's undergoing extensive renovations. We can't wait to see the finished exhibit and we will be back in the near future to check it out. Overall, we had a great time at the Shed. It really is one of the best aquariums out there and well worth checking out.
It's just the way that the water is set up. Come on, you guys.
Next up on the pass was the Field Museum. This is just adjacent to the shed, so we nipped across to check it out. The snow had cleared up completely and the sun was now shining. We were greeted in the main hall by a large silverback gorilla, Maximo the Titanosaur, and 2 large dueling elephants. The pass included general admission and a paid-for exhibition of our choice, and we decided, as it's Halloween, to go for the Bloodsuckers exhibition. This was quite horrible, filled with all kinds of nature's nasties such as mosquitoes, leeches, ticks, and vampire bats. The noise and vibe in the exhibit was really unsettling and we left all itchy and scratchy, but overall really liked being creeped out by it. Next up, we explored the Egyptian exhibit. This includes a recreation of a full Egyptian tomb, with parts of the tomb being the real article lifted from Egypt, with the rest of the tomb artificially recreated around it. There were some real mummies down there, lifted from their eternal resting places, which we're not sure was a great idea, and their tombs and sarcophaguses were also on display. It's a really impressive and interesting exhibit that rivals the fantastic Egyptian exhibit at the Met in New York. We then explored the animal halls. These were huge and really comprehensive, with an incredible array of specimens on display. Of course they are all stuffed, and there is always this twinge of sadness about that, but they are still incredibly interesting. The halls were a bit hard to navigate, and we felt a little like we were wandering aimlessly around, but there was so much on display and we certainly got our fill and saw all of the highlights, such as the man-eating lions of Savo, Africa. The final exhibit we visited was the star of the show, the stunning Griffin Hall of Evolving Planet, aka the Fossil Halls. Unlike the animal halls, the fossil halls were really easy to navigate. You start at the beginning and walk the path through the halls. This was particularly rewarding, as when we say start at the beginning, we mean it. The halls are laid out as a timeline of the Earth's evolutionary history, starting with the oldest fossils and moving forward as the Earth evolves. There are notable points along the way that explain the various extinction events, and clear dividing lines as life changes on Earth. Obviously, the Jurassic and Cretaceous are the most exciting epochs, with a host of recognisable creatures: Stegosauruses, Triceratops, Allosaurus, Brachiosaur, and loads more. And of course there is everyone's favourite, Sue. If you only needed one reason to visit the Field Museum, Sue is it. This is the largest and most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton ever found, and she is absolutely magnificent. Sue gets a hall and display all to herself, and she really deserves it. Like most kids, I have loved T-Rex for pretty much my entire life, growing up on Jurassic Park only cementing this love, and getting up close and personal really brings home how incredible these creatures must have been. Even after Sue, there is more to see in the fossil halls as we head into the Ice Age. Here we get to see giant sloths, woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers. Fans of the Ice Age films will be very happy here. In the final section we get to meet Lucy and find out what the last and current extinction event is. Lucy is one of the earliest examples of a hominin and our early distant cousin, a forerunner of the catastrophe that is currently befalling Earth, us. We really loved the Field Museum, but enjoyed the fossil halls most of all. They really were well laid out and filled with amazing specimens. There were a lot of exhibits left for us to see in the Field Museum, but we knew we had peaked and had been museuming all day, so we decided to head out and see what else we could do on the pass. However, heading outside we hit a problem. The snow had returned, with a vengeance. It was a total whiteout and we didn't even know which way the city was. The whole skyline had been erased by the storm. There was no way we could hike back in this, and we didn't want to mess with public transport in a whiteout, so we pulled up the Uber app and summoned a ride. Unfortunately, pretty much the whole of Chicago had done the same, and the surge charge was eye-watering, and the wait times were long. Eventually our ride arrived, as the snow eased, and we were whisked back to our hotel. From here we decided to get some food. We had not eaten since breakfast and decided to get out of the weather with some time in a restaurant. Sometimes you just want the familiar, and as it was happy hour, we headed to Cheesecake Factory for some cheap and cheerful food. We ordered a couple of half-price appetizers, nachos with spinach dip and buffalo blasts, and a couple of cheap cocktails and a slab of cheesecake for dessert. We know it's predictable, but we always try and have a Cheesecake Factory at some point on our trips. After our cheesecake, we noticed something quite amazing had happened. The stormy skies had completely cleared up. Our weather apps all showed a small weather window of a couple of hours before the snow returned. We had pretty much written the day off, apart from our planned Halloween activity this evening, but this weather window offered the perfect opportunity to get up high and see the city from above, with the added bonus of being at sunset. We were right under the John Hancock Tower, so we headed to the top to visit the 360 Chicago observation deck. The 360 Chicago is a really good observation deck, offering predictably 360-degree views of the city. We were really lucky in the timing, as once we were at the top it was still light, with just a touch of colour coming through the sky. In an hour or so we spent at the top, this light faded, the sky burst into colour, and then darkness fell on the city. We couldn't have timed it better if we tried. The deck itself is quite basic. It's indoors, which is always a drag, and the reflections really do not help. It's also quite small, as the John Hancock is not too large of a building. The unique selling point is also a bit lame. It's called Tilt and is a movable window that leads you out over the drop, but it's only around 30 degrees and it's not that scary, and it's not worth the additional cost. What is not lame is the view. You get a full 360-degree view of the city, and as the building is a little setback from the main downtown area, you get a really nice removed viewpoint of the city. It also offers great views of the Navy Pier and Lakeside Drive, hugging the coastline in both directions. On clear days you get a view of 4 different states from the top of this building. With the amazing light and colour of this evening, the added contrast of a layer of snow and large snowstorms off in the distance, it really was an amazing end to the day. However, this was not the end. As it was Halloween, we still had one thing left to do, and like most people in Chicago, there is only one place to be on Halloween evening, North Halsted for the Haunted Halsted Halloween Parade. Let's just take a quick look to see how we were doing on our Go City Pass before heading to the Halloween Parade. This pass cost us $170, and today we used a measly $116 worth of attractions. This is a pretty poor return for us. We normally break even on day one, but we have so many attractions planned for tomorrow and really plan on making the most of the day. The poor weather today just really stopped us from getting the best of the pass, but tomorrow looks bright and sunny, if a little chilly, and we really plan to cram a lot of fun in. It is always worth considering how weather can make an impact on your pass, and if all your attractions are planned for outdoors, it may become a bit of a problem. With or without a pass, we always plan some indoor activities to do during a trip, just in case the weather is bad and we need some fun things to do to escape the rain or the snow. Make sure you like and subscribe the channel so you can see how we get on with the pass tomorrow. After the 360, we hopped onto the L and headed out to the Halsted neighbourhood. The train was pretty full when we got on and just got more and more packed as we picked up more and more revellers. We arrived at the parade nice and early and managed to get a great spot right on the rail for the parade. The weather was cold and the clear skies from the break were now clouding over and the snow was clearly closing back in. The parade was shorter than we hoped, but the quality of the costumes was really incredible. The participants, all amateur, come through in various waves all separated by jeeps, also themed and filled with monsters. It was great fun as they threw out candy as they walked the route. It only took around 30 minutes, but we got some great shots and really enjoyed the Halloween fun. It was a really impressive flaming end to the parade. This was the end of our Halloween adventure for this trip. While there was more to come from the trip, we had really enjoyed ourselves at the Haunted Halsted Halloween Parade. Okay, it was not quite up there with Salem or the Lahaina Halloween party we visited last year in Maui, which is possibly the last ever, but it was still great fun. We got a run on the crowds and headed back to the L to get back into the city centre. The snow began falling just as the parade passed us, so we got lucky and avoided another coating of the white stuff. All in all, a really memorable day.